friends, and welcome. We are going to be doing a really fun workout today that's a continuation on a theme. We did a workshop over the weekend all about hips, and so we're going to practice much of what we learned in that workshop in this class, and we're going to go through a full body flow that really brings about balance and ease and power in those hips as well as the rest of the body. We're going to use our foam roller and our magic circle, and we'll begin standing. Okay, welcome. So we're going to start standing, and we're going to just take a little time to pay a little extra attention to our hips. So I'm going to have you place your feet a little wider than your shoulders, giving yourself this nice broad base, and then take your hands down to the region of your hips, thinking about where your thigh bones come in and meet your pelvis. That's the joint of your hips. And then, feel into those joints by moving side to side with the whole pelvis, making those hips glide over the tops of the thigh bones. And this is a really just a nice lubricating thing to do for your joints, but also a great way to feel into where they are and how they move. So when you've been there for a little while, see if you can bring your hands right down to that place where when you slide to, say, the left, your right hand can fall into that fold of the right hip, and then same to the left. So you're actually feeling the joint, not necessarily putting your hands up on your hips like you might when you're sort of, reprimanding someone, but really kind of feeling the place where the legs meet the pelvis. And then taking it into a circle seems like a really friendly thing to do for those hips. And then reverse the direction. And then come on back to center. And then we'll step our feet back underneath us and take a little bit of time to explore the actions of the hip. Your thighs can lift quite high into hip flexion. We're taking our knees in towards our chest, and our hands can be anywhere that serve you. I'm keeping mine on my pelvis to sort of observe whether it's shifting a lot. We're going to do our best to keep it level, little weight shift side to side, and just feel into the energy of the front of the hip, lifting that knee up. And I'm going to now encourage you not to push yourself to pain or anything else that strains your body, but encourage that knee to come up as high as you can. So you're taking your hip flexors to work, and there's an important one in that family, your deepest hip flexor, your psoas, which attaches to your spine, which is just at the center of your body. So happens to be a really important, powerful part of the body. So last couple on each side, feeling a little bit of warmth as you take that march with a good strong rhythm. And then we're going to land down. Now we're going to take our feet a little wider than our shoulders again, and turned out. If you want to have your roller here for balance, you're welcome to. It's not at all mandatory, it's just an option. But what we're going to do is some squats. So I'm going to move this out of the way just so you can see me most clearly, but you might like to have yours there. We're going to bend the knees and lower down and try to stay vertical through the spine, and then rise back up. And again, so your pelvis is just lowering down towards the mat as your knees are folding out to the sides. Your thigh bones are going to do a little bit of spiraling away from center. Good. And then we'll take the next one and hold. So when you're in the squat, you're going to be working right away, and we're going to add some stuff. I want you to feel the energy of the spiral throughout. As you spiral your knees wide, can you keep your inner big toe side of the foot connected into the mat? And then we're going to just pulse here, letting those legs really warm up. And feel into that energy, the effort of the legs without sort of running away from it. Noticing that while the legs can be powerfully at work, the upper body can be easeful. Can you relax your shoulders? Have ease to the neck. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way up. Nicely done. Now we're going to turn our toes in. And for this one, the feet are likely going to need to become a bit more narrow, and then you'll let your knees come together and kiss as you sit into a squat. So the squat looks similar to a parallel squat, but we're going to keep the knees together and lower down right into it and hold this one. So we're going to do the pulsing here again. See if you can feel how the rest of your body is aligning. Are your ribs sort of sinking towards the thighs? Can you lift them a little bit away? And then begin to pulse here. You can be pulsing, exhaling, inhaling, however your breath wants to flow into your body at this moment. Just feeling into that heat of those legs, you know? They're, as we've talked about in past classes, these big muscles of the legs are like engines for the body. When you warm them up, it helps to heat up the whole body, letting that blood flow really sort of move more freely around the whole body. So even though we're not doing shoulder work or we're not doing things in the upper body, specifically the whole system is getting a good dose of warming heat. And we'll go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, feeling into those vibrantly alive legs. And now let's take our roller with us to the top of the mat or somewhere around there. Place it across. And then we're going to take our feet to the back of the mat. So setting up with some room between you and the roller. And then we're going to take our arms up to the sky. Use that reach up to give your spine a little extra stretch. In fact, let's reach up on the left. Stretch that waistline there, and then reach up on the right. And just feel that extra space you've created as you stretch both sides long. And then nodding the chin, starting to move through the spine, one vertebra at a time, rolling forward into your forward bend. As you find your way down, let's soften the knees so it's easy to touch the mat. And then let your head fall into gravity, and maybe swivel your head side to side and nod the chin a couple of times to feel that that's in fact true, that you're really letting it hang into gravity. And then stretch your right leg towards straight to invite a stretch to the outside of that right leg where you would maybe find your IT band, and then maybe stuff along the side of the calf as well, feeling into the connection of your lower leg and your upper, your foot and your hip. So can you press down a little bit more into the big toe side of that right foot and feel how that really affects the stretch all the way up to the top where your right hip is high. And then soften the right knee and stretch the left leg to straight. Keeping that same sort of thoughtfulness, can the head be free? And then can you press down into the inner border of your left foot while lifting up on that left sit bone? And notice the connection, the way that stretch is further sort of intensified. And then we're going to just soften both knees and walk the hands forward, not onto the roller, but just sort of in that direction so we can find a downward dog. So soften the knees if they aren't already, and really feel your sit bones lift up towards the sky. And then feel your shoulder blades slide towards your back pockets. And then feel a little connection under the front ribs to bring them a little bit back. And then from there, stretch the legs towards straight. If they aren't fully lengthened all the way to straight right now, that's completely okay, as long as you're feeling a safe stretch in your hamstrings and calves and a thoughtful, supported spine that doesn't feel any strain there as well. Go into a little running in place now, walking out the stretch and the tightness of the calves, and also warming up the feet. And we're going to do that a couple more moments, so just enjoy it. Keeping your hips level, strong through the arms, feeling the earth through your hands, feeling that length to the sides of your waist. Can your pelvis kind of stretch up and back even more? And then pause, and then land your knees down. Reorganize. You're going to use the roller next out in front of you. So we'll take the arms to the roller just between the wrist and the forearms, and then stretch your heart forward and down. So you're going to let yourself kind of bow here in this moment. And then as you're ready, you'll start to move. We'll curl the tail under, rounding the spine, bringing the roller with us. And you're kind of rolling between the elbows and the wrists, maybe onto the sides of the hands, never in a way that's uncomfortable, never rolling onto the joints in a way that puts a lot of pressure on them. And then just experiencing the spine here for a moment in this really kind of fluid, gooey way that invites some of that same warmth and churning of our previous work, but spreads it around through the spine, through the shoulders. And then we're going to bring the roller right into the knees and then lower the body down over the roller so that we can position our thighs on the roller. And so we're gonna take the time over the next few moments to massage the front of the thighs. But as we did in the workshop and as we've done in previous classes, I want you to imagine that the thighs you're maybe wearing striped leggings where the stripes run vertical. So lengthwise up and down. And you're massaging the stripes of the thighs right when you land on the roller facing the mat like I am. You're gonna massage the stripes that run up the center of the thigh. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna transfer our weight over to our left IT band, so the stripe that runs down the side of the leg. You can have your top foot on the mat to limit or minimize how much pressure, but you're gonna massage up and down that stripe. And you're gonna go high to low, trying to do these long brush strokes. And then if you need to pause at any one place and do shorter sort of deep massage in that space, go ahead and do that. I don't want you to rush or pass up anything important. And then we're going to continue to move to the next stripe just a little in front of the IT band. And for that, your other leg might end up on the roller kind of supporting some of your weight, but you're focusing on the left leg stripe next to the IT band, and then work your way in towards the center of the thigh. As you get centered, you'll be able to start to share the weight with your right leg, and then make your way, turning your pelvis to the left. We'll start to turn that weight onto the right quad a little bit more, and you'll make your way around slowly to the IT band once again, this time on your right side. And again, this could take a lot longer, or you could go perhaps a little quicker, but I really encourage you not to rush, as I know it's intense in some places. Offer your body that support of putting the top foot down or putting the top leg on the roller to give you that balance of power, but like a minimized intensity. All right, so as you finish on the right side, you can come back to kneeling, and we'll bring our roller out in front of us, stand it up like a little pillar, and then we'll step our left foot forward alongside the roller. Looking at the pelvis and our hips always in focus here, we're gonna really bring them to the forefront. You're gonna drop the left sit bone down and bring the right as is forward and up to bring the pelvis to square with the top of your mat and level with the floor. That's the simple way to put it. And then we're going to use the roller just as much as we need to for balance as we bring our pelvis forward. You're only going to go as far as you can, keeping that pelvis as neutral as you can, so you're not going to let the ribs sag forward or the low back arch. And so you're going to feel into some engagement in the back of the hip and a stretch here. And then if you're feeling like your balance needs the support, you can switch to the left hand on the top of the roller and then side bend up and over, moving away from the right knee with the upper body. And then circle the hand back to the mat. And then we'll take the roller and set it to the side as we bring our hands to the mat. And we're going to take our right toes tucked under and stretch that right leg to straight. From here, we're going to hold and see if we can feel as though we are scissoring the legs together, pulling the left heel back, the right foot and hip forward. And then with that, bring your right hand onto the mat as your left hand turns and opens up to the sky, feeling into a nice big spiral through the spine and shoulders, gazing up. And then circle the hand back to the mat, lower the right knee down, walk your left foot out to the left, keeping both hands on the mat. The left foot will be off the mat to the left, and then you're just going to begin to rock forward and back, as we often do, moving at the diagonal. So the muscles that connect our legs into our pelvis aren't as simple as front, back, and side. That would indicate we can move in 4 directions. But as you know, our hips can move in these really in sort of countless directions. And so we have countless muscle fibers connecting into our joints at all these different angles. So moving at angles is how we help keep our hips in a happy and balanced place. And then circle the pelvis around the center of the mat. letting that invite more diverse movement into the hips. And then we'll reverse and circle the other direction, and then bring your left foot back. We'll bring our roller to the mat in front of us and step the right foot forward alongside it. And then take that time to organize the pelvis so the right sit bone drops down, the left as is lifts up and is engaged from the back. And then we'll just weight shift forward, inviting that stretch, first level stretch into that left hip. And then we'll take the left arm up to the sky. Perhaps you hold onto the roller with the right and take that nice, lovely side bend. So again, we're creating space from the left knee to the left rib cage and even to left wrist, stretching up, and then seeing if that space can stay with us as we move on. Roller setting to the side, hands to the mat alongside the right foot. Take your toes tucked under on the left and stretch that left leg to straight. And then from here, shoulders shrugging down, feeling as though you're pulling the legs together through the power of your mid center. And then turn, bring your right hand up to the mat, left hand to the mat, right hand up to the sky as you turn, and maybe even gaze upward towards your fingertips. Feeling the power of those legs support you so your spine and shoulders can fly free. And then we'll circle the hand to the mat. Once again, land your left knee down and walk your right foot out to the right. So your right hand is just inside the right foot. And yeah, you're going to go ahead and do some of that really lovely mobilizing, stretching, strengthening, rocking forward and back. Guiding your hips a little bit off the beaten path, perhaps, so that they don't lose the range and power and vital essence in these different directions. And then we'll come into a circle and maybe one more that direction, and then reverse that circle, and then find your way back to all fours. We're going to take the roller underneath our thighs once again. Actually, let's do this first. Place your knees on the roller, and then we'll set the hands on the mat out in front of the roller a ways. And you can start with a neutral spine and then just allow your spine to move as it's called to do, and then just rolling forward and back on the roller, massaging the tops or the fronts of the lower leg, the shins. And there's not a whole lot of muscle right in the front, but just a little to the outside of your shin bone. You'll find your anterior tibialis, which is oftentimes an under sort of attended part of the body. You could use a little massage. And then as you continue, what I'm going to have you do, I'm sort of rolling off my mat, and you may be too, so make any adjustments you need to, is we're going to round the spine and find yourself in that strong cat stretch position that you know so well. And then see if you can feel into the position where you hover your ribs up a little extra. And then you're going to roll the knees forward, and as you do, imagine you're lifting your knees into your chest. Push down to the earth to lift the knees, and then roll back. And again, lift the ribs, lift the knees, and push into the mat. And again, roll and push as you hover the knees up. And two more like that. Push and hover. And one more. Push and hover. And then arrive back on the knees. Stay right there. Reset the spine into a long neutral. Let the toes come off the mat, and let's stretch the right leg back. Hover there. For those of you seeking a little more adventure, you might take your left hand forward. And then lower everything back to the mat. As you do, discovering that there's always still something to get stronger in. As you take your left leg back, reach your right hand forward. We're making connections from our right and left side of the body, and they come right through our center. Go ahead and come now off of the roller with the roller in front of you so your knees can land, and then we're going to come back onto our quads. I'm going to reset my mat a little bit because it's really wandered. Okay. So we will be on our thighs again, but we are also going to be incorporating some of that spinal mobility that we just were playing with. So you're going to start with your elbows on the mat, your legs outstretched long, parallel as much as you can, sort of keep track of that. And then you're going to take your elbows and sink them down into the earth as you flex the spine, lift those bottom ribs, and really try to feel into the sense of ribs lifting, elbows sinking that comes together, and then move back. As you bring yourself back, reach your heart forward. And then again, exhale, push down through the elbows, cover the bottom ribs. Your head will naturally curve inward towards the mat, but you don't need to do a lot of movement in the neck. Bringing your heart forward, the head will just follow. And again, good. Keep going like that. We're going to do that about 3 more times, practicing the power of the shoulders, reaching the elbows forward, sending the bottom ribs up to the sky, and then the heart forward, staying lifted up out of the earth, and 2 more. And 1 more. And then we'll come off of there, bring the knees down to the mat. Take your hands to the ends of the roller, and then we're going to lift and lower. Let's press into the ends of the roller so the arms are active in a way that just calls a little bit more of your attention into that part of the body. From the root of your arms, shoulders, underside of the arms, through the side body. And then pay attention to your pelvis here as you bring your arms up and down. Your hips can easily be a little bit folded in the front, so I'm just going to demonstrate that while you keep moving, but right where your sort of tail sticks out. So you're going to lift up on the asses and feel your sit bones draw down, and then feel your ribs, as we've been practicing, come back over your pelvis. So we're not allowing as much of the spine to move as just the joints of the shoulders. And then we're going to take the arms up to the sky, hold there, and on your exhale, you're going to bring the roller forward while you lean back from the knees. And then inhale the arms up. Exhale, lean back. Inhale up. If your knees feel any discomfort here, give them a little extra padding, or put a ball between your knees, something that you can squeeze into. It's often the fix. If it's not, let me know. Pressing into the roller still. And then 1 more time, bring the roller forward and up. And then from here, you're going to stay upright, but start to press into the roller and flex the spine just like you did a moment ago on your elbows. Bring the bottom ribs back, rolling down. Try to keep your hips right over your knees and roll towards the mat, but you don't need to touch it. You're going to get quite low, stretching into the back body, and then squeeze into the ends of the roller. Curl the tail under and roll back up. And again, flex the spine, bow through that upper body, feeling the bottom ribs stretch back. And then press into the roller, reverse, squeeze into the inner thighs, draw your sit bones down and rise up. And 1 more time, rolling forward and down. This time we'll land the roller and position it in front of the knees and unwind the spine. Okay, we're going to step the right foot onto the roller. For again, those of you that feel a little sensitive on your knees, the one knee exercises especially offer it a little extra padding. So with your right foot forward on the roller, place the bridge of your foot, or the place where your toes meet your foot, on, and your heel is hanging off. And then you're going to kind of right the ship, stay sort of arrive nice and tall through the rest of the body, and put some weight down into that foot so that the heel is allowed to sink and stretch. And then we're going to bring the hands to the roller and start to move the roller away, letting the heel roll over the top of the roller and moving the roller into our calf. We're going into a stretch this split-like. So if that's something that you feel really comfortable with, go ahead and join me. If not, I'm going to offer you an alternative. So we've done this here where you're in this lunge position. You can just simply rock back and stretch that hamstring on your front leg. So you could be doing this motion. So that's if the roller isn't serving you, if it feels like it's asking too much out of your body in this moment. If you're feeling comfortable with this, then we're going to do the same thing, rolling back and forth, coming just back as far as the heel, and then rocking forward into the calf. And again, rocking back. As you rock back, you're going to let the spine spill forward over that front leg. And then as you bring your heel forward, you're going to take your chest forward and your shoulders down and back. As you're out in the forward position, once again, you're going to roll your heel and toes side to side. So you're going to be rolling your calf side to side on the roller. And then start to slowly come back. Continue rocking side to side. So your thigh bone is spinning in the hip socket as you are massaging the back of the calf, Achilles, and heel. And then bring your foot back underneath you. Lift into that upright position with the heel low. And then we'll carefully step back off of the right foot. And then bring the left foot forward to the roller. So again, just positioning the ball of your foot on the roller with your heel heavy. It'll come up right through the upper body. So gravity can kind of fall down into that left foot. You might find a stretch there for your foot, your calf, your Achilles. Yeah. And then we'll start to move the foot forward, rolling over the back of the heel into the calf. And just go out as far as your hips are going to allow. Your left hamstring might be your boundary, your right hip flexor might be your boundary, or a little bit of both. And then you'll rock back. So just to the heel and then back into the calf. And forward with the spine, letting it bow over that front leg. And then rock, bringing the heart forward in this position. 2 more like that. And we rock. And we roll. And then once we're forward next, we'll stay and add in a little rotation of the leg. So your forward leg, by way of your hip, is going to internally and externally rotate. And you'll see this as your toes turning left and right and your calf massaging itself on the roller. And then you'll begin to rock back, same as before, with a little twist of the leg bone in the hip socket. And then come all the way back so that the foot is on top of the roller. And we'll bring the chest forward and up. Arriving in that calf stretch once again. And then carefully stepping back. Okay, so now let's have you take your magic circle with you to the mat. And you're going to set it up so you're lying on your back with one foot in the ring. Let's all do our left foot. Try to set mine up. And once you're there, you can invite that same calf stretch into your movement. So you'll point and flex the foot. Okay. Left foot. So we're here and your right leg can be outstretched. You're going to keep your shoulders down on the mat to the best of your ability. And we're moving through the ankle. And as you do this, watch your feet for sort of nice organized movement and think about all 5 toes coming back equally. Sometimes we have a little bit of an outward sort of sway of the ankle, and so the big toe will kind of come back a little closer to the shin first and faster than the pinky toe. So really bringing the pinky toe edge of the foot along with the inner edge. And then we're going to cross the leg over the midline. You can keep both hands on the ring or bring your left hand out to the mat. And you're going to do the same ankle work. And we're feeling into that IT band stretch again, but we're also noticing how the foot and ankle, what position they're in, how that affects the whole stretch. So whether you understand how or why is, to me, not super important right now, but just believing in and understanding that the foot and the ankle do have direct communication through some of these connections, like your IT band and other connections. It's really helpful to know that, and therefore then you can affect positive change by treating both the feet and the hips at once. So we're going to go now out to the side, inner thigh stretch, and add that ankle in. And so we're going to bring the leg back to the center. And before we switch sides, let's have a little fun with our spine rolling up. At the top, you can do a nice bright teaser. Drop the shoulders down and back, lift the heart up high, and then roll yourself back down. We'll switch the legs in the air and then take your left leg down to the mat. As you explore your second side, it's also really helpful to pay attention to what you feel and how it might be a little bit different than on the first side. Keep your right sit bone drawing down towards your left ankle. And then begin again pointing and flexing the foot and watching that both the big toe and the pinky toe side of the foot are coming back evenly and fully. And I'm speaking to both groups, those of you with feet and calf stuff going on and with hip stuff going on, because working on one end is going to benefit the other. So for some of you, we're indirectly affecting the hip by really focusing on the foot and ankle. And then in the exercise where we're hip focused, it'll also benefit those of you with stuff going on in your feet. So let's do a couple more in this position. And then we'll take the leg across the midline and find that connection into the IT band. It's pretty outstanding for me today. Point and flex. And make sure you're moving fully in both directions, that the point is not a moment of just sort of meh energy. It's really going all the way out and coming all the way in, and then coming out to the right, moving into your inner thigh, keeping the left side of your body heavy. It takes some attention to do that, and then point and flex your foot there. And notice what that brings into your body. Okay, and then come on back to center. We'll do our one roll up and teaser, nod the chin, scissor the right leg down to the mat, coming all the way up, and then make your way up into that very bright, shiny teaser moment, shoulders back, and then curl the tail under, rolling all the way down. Okay, let's take our ring and set it aside just for a moment. We're going to bring the roller under our upper back. So you can start by just taking a quick roll up to seated and position the roller behind your shoulders. Support the head in your hands, and then we'll begin with our massage to that region. So you'll lift your hips up and give your upper back a quick loving massage, maybe a little weight over into the left side and a little weight over into the right side. Just really moving in a way that feels good. And then land the roller just around shoulder blade level and set your feet in parallel, and then take your spine back over that curvy surface, letting your chest stretch open and your head rest in your hands. And then we're going to start to nod the chin and let the shoulders slide down and curve our upper body forward. Find those ribs, as we've been really, really mindful of the past many weeks, and see them moving the entire circumference of your bottom ribs like a little hula hoop snug against your rib cage, tilting down towards the earth, the whole hoop, and then the whole hoop coming up towards the sky. So as you curl up next time, we're going to hold that position and see if the hoop can sink a little lower, and if your chin can nod, and press your head back into your hands a little bit more. So the hoop sinks, the head presses back, and we're in this really nice strong position through the upper body. And then we're going to march one leg and then the other, and feel into the shifts in our body. So as the leg marches in, you might feel a little bit of a sort of shift in the power and effort required to keep your rib cage hoop heavy and your head pressing back, and then also a shift in the pelvis. So you're going to take your right leg in and then slide it out long and low. And as you reach through the right leg, notice your right hip might slide away from you. So you're going to reach your left sit bone towards your right heel. Hold there. Keep that energy of your left sit bone reaching down. Lift and lower the right leg. Good. Keep pulling that left sit bone towards your left heel to create space on the left side of your waist, and keep the right side of your waist from overstretching out. And then we'll bring the right knee in, place the foot down. Stretch your left leg out long and low, even reaching on purpose a little extra. Let your left hip slip away from your rib cage, and then slide the left hip up towards your shoulders as you draw your right sit bone down towards your heel. Watch that change happen in your own body, and then kick the leg up. Keep drawing that right sit bone towards your heel. And 3, and 2, and 1. Bring the knee in and lower that down. Let's take the roller now out from under the upper body and bring it under the hips. So first you'll lie down with the roller under your knees, and then lift the hips up and take your knees into tabletop. From here, we're going to hold the ends of the roller, let the knees come in close to the body so that they can rest there and the spine can sink, the ribs can sink. And then we're going to send the legs up towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, we're going to lower the legs down. As they go down, you're going to feel into the rib cage, keeping that bottom of the rib cage, that hoop around the low ribs sinking down. And then inhale the legs up and exhale to lower. As you lower the legs, careful not to overshoot your mark. You don't want to let the legs go so low that your back arches or your pelvis is moving, but thinking about the weight of the ribs sinking down. The front of the hips opening up. And then as you bring your legs down next, you're going to keep moving out to the sides in a circle. And repeat. And we'll take that one more time in that direction, and then reverse, taking the legs out and around and down together. So even though it's your legs moving, you're getting a lot more stability and control out of paying attention to your ribs. And I'll say as a reminder that we cue the ribs not because your ribs by themselves matter as much to your whole posture. Like one line of your ribs is can be out of alignment without upsetting your whole posture. However, the whole rib cage together represents kind of where your spine is. We're going to finish with the legs together. Bend the knees and bring the feet down to the mat. Keeping the hips on the roller, you're going to focus on the pelvis now. And think of keeping the hips open by feeling the as-is at the front of the pelvis and the ribs in the front of the body connect towards one another. Feeling your abdominals help you with that. And then thinking about reaching your knees out past your toes, using the back of the legs, glutes and hamstrings and other such things to do that. Holding all of that, trying to keep the weight of your pelvis now really level on the roller so you'll feel when the weight shifts by more pressure underneath you. And so I want you to experiment with that. You're going to float your right leg and notice, has the right hip gotten heavier? Can you bring it a little bit more lightness by connecting to your left leg more? And then set the right foot down, floating on the left side, checking in with the left side. Did it get heavy? Can you lighten the load on the roller? Use the right leg to do so. And switch. So you're going to keep going like that, marching with the emphasis on the standing leg. But you'll feel on the lifting leg what's happening on the back of the hip by how much weight is on the roller. So that's your measure for if you need more support from your standing leg. And all of us are likely to have one side that's a little harder than the other. And that's the one you want to pay extra attention to. Give it your most quality, focused attention and guidance. That's how we bring our change into our body. And again, last one each side. And then we can finish there. Bring the roller out from under the hips and place our feet on the roller. You're going to take your spine into a bridge in just a moment, but I know some of you might feel like this is a little much for either your hamstrings or your spine. So if you want to have your feet on the roller, that's always okay. I'm sorry. If you want to have your feet on the mat, that's always okay. So arms are long by your sides, and you're going to take your sit bones and curl them under as you feel your asses slide back towards your ribs and peel up into your bridge. At the top, you're going to breathe in, and on the exhale, soften the shoulders back, soften the ribs down, keep the hips really lifted even as you start to roll the low back onto the mat and then the pelvis. And with all the work you've done to warm up, hopefully your hamstrings are celebrating this work. And so you're going to sit bone slide under as your belly and ribs sink down, as your knees stretch out over the toes, and then press the shoulders into the mat and start to roll the rib cage down, vertebra by vertebra, and arrive nice and free. And one more time, this time we add something at the top. You're going to scoop and curl the toe under, peeling up. Arrive here, find your feet. Keep the weight even from the inside to the outside, and then see if you can add a little bit of activation here. Point the toes, wrap the feet around the roller, and send your toes towards the mat. Now flex the feet, bring the heels towards the mat. The roller is going to move a little bit, but that's not even the point. It's moving those ankles and feet. Point the toes, and then flex the feet. And one more time, point the toes, and flex the feet, and then keep those feet flexed as you sink the shoulders, sink the ribs, and roll all the way down. Awesome job. We're going to take our ring now, magic circle. If you need to get up, apologies for not warning you there. And we're going to set it up behind your head and then place your hands to the opposite side. So you've got the pad at the base of the skull and your hands are to the opposite side of the ring. And then you're going to just take your shoulders down away from the ears. Feel how that sends your elbows slightly forward and automatically. And then think about when we were on the mat a little while ago with your elbows on the mat. You push down into the earth with the elbows, this time pushing the elbows towards the sky and sinking your ribs down into the earth to create that movement in your spine. And we'll lower back down. And again, sending the elbows into the sky and your ribs into the earth. And there we arrive, nice and flexed with power through the spine and ease in the neck. And again, let's do that a few more times, letting your head be the passenger, keeping your chest open. And one more. When you get up into this next one, hold, stay there and just reset. Send the elbows a little further into the sky, your ribs a little deeper into the mat. Let your head rest into the ring. And then from here, we're going to inhale, let the legs move away from us into straight. Exhale, pull in. Inhale away. Exhale, draw them in. As the knees come in, see if you can sink the ribs a little more deeply. And out, and in, and out, and in. Now you're going to add rotation as your legs come in. Your knees are going to go swing wide. They'll go out together and wide on the return. And then we'll reverse it. We'll go out with the knees open and then in with the knees together. Again, sink those ribs deeper as the legs come in. Last one. And then roll down. As you are ready, we'll take the ring out from behind the head. And if you're like me, your mat and roller might have created a little bit of a mess underneath your hips. So we're going to just take a little rock and roll up to seated, straighten that out, and move on to the next adventure. So let's take our ring and just reach it around the feet, kind of lasso the feet, and then draw yourself forward into a stretch for the back of the legs, the spine. Include the head in the stretch by letting the chin fall in towards your chest, and just breathe there. And then we'll rise up, release the feet, and take the ring so that the pad on one side is going to come against the bottom ribs in the front. And then we're going to squeeze the ring with the arms, but not let that bring the shoulders forward, but rather bring the shoulders back and bring the chest forward and up. If the legs need to bend here to help you get up on top of your sit bones, please do so. And then from here, we're going to just stay really nice and tall, and we're going to spiral our rib cage and our ring to the right and center, and spiral our rib cage and ring to the left and center, and twist and center, staying upright atop your pelvis. So your legs are going to stay side by side. If you catch one heel shifting forward or back, that's an indication that your pelvis is moving too, and sort of borrowing some movement from the legs and not using the spine as much. So we are here to spin and stretch the spine, and one more, and then come center, and then bring your ring out stretched in front of you like you're holding a steering wheel or something similar, and you're going to sit up nice and tall. And then on the exhale, we're going to squeeze the ring and curl the tail under and roll back all the way down. Inhale the arms back. Exhale, reach the ring forward, scoop the abdominals in and roll forward, reach towards your toes. Exhale, scoop and curl, squeeze that ring and roll back down. If you benefit from patting your low back, feel free to do that here. And move at the pace that suits you. Take full breaths and exhale through your most challenging moments, whichever direction you're traveling. Stretch that back body as you reach forward. Use the muscles of the front of the body to slowly lower you down as you come down. And we'll do that again one more time in that fashion. Rolling up. Reach toward your toes. Now we're going to stack all the way up. Bring your legs together. Take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, curl part way back. Hold. We're going to inhale to the right. Exhale, center. Inhale, left. Exhale, center. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more each side. And last one. And then roll all the way down. Walk your knees in. Take your right knee to the pad of the ring, and then your left elbow. And you're going to turn and support your head and your hands in that position. So we're going to find our rib cage here and see if we can sink those bottom ribs into the ring or into the mat a little more deeply. The ring is going to block us from coming up super high, but we're not concerned with that. You're going to engage the leg and the arm into the ring as you just keep breathing. And at a level of the pelvis, think of bringing the right sit bone towards your left heel. And keep breathing. And then carefully reset, lower down. We'll take that to the other side. Left knee, right elbow. Hands behind the head. Center your spine on the mat, and then draw your left sit bone towards your right heel. Sink your bottom ribs and curl, and start just deepening your connections. Each exhale is an invitation to deepen and refine where you are. And 3, and 2, and 1, and then unwind from there. And then let's take the ring and set it around the back of the head once again. Hands supporting the inside pad, and then take your knees into tabletop. Rock and roll, wiggle out any imbalances, and then send the elbows forward into space and your ribs down into the mat to find your way into that nice, sort of natural and powerful ab curl. And then from here, we're going to slide the right leg up to the sky, stretch it out long, and then lower it down. And as it gets lower, see if you can keep the pelvis from slipping. Slide the left sit bone down to balance you out, and then rotate your right elbow towards your left knee. Spin the whole upper body. Breathe. Come center. Slide your left leg up to the sky. You're going to lower it down just as far as you can keep your hips level. As soon as your left hip slips away, you've gone too far. Bring your right sit bone towards your left heel, and then spin your right or left elbow towards your right knee. Hold and breathe. These are super slow and super hard. And come back to the middle. Right leg up, right leg lowers. Spiral, right elbow towards left knee. Keep left sit bone reaching down. Come into the center. Left leg up, left leg lowers. Spin. Reach across with that left elbow. Ribs get heavier. And come in one more each side. Right leg up, lower. Left sit bone reach. Spiral. Feel the ribs move back as the elbow comes across. And come in. Last one. Left leg up. Left leg lowers. Right sit bone draws down, and we spin across our midline. Good. And then bring it in and rest down. Ooh. And then take the ring out from under you and set it aside as well. Let's take our knees into our chest. Give ourselves a little hug there. And then take your hands to the inside of your shins, calves, or ankles, or grab your feet even. Give yourself a little rock side to side in your happy baby stretch. And then let your legs come down to the mat and slide all the way out to straight. Reach your arms overhead. Feel the entire length of your body. Let's flex the feet and push the heels down the end of the mat and fingertips overhead. And then we're going to roll onto our side. So let's turn onto our right side to begin. And take your bottom arm long. And then you'll take your legs together, right in line with your spine. You're going to start with bananas. You're going to stretch the spine long and come up into a little side bend and lower down. And again, reach and come up. And for anybody looking for a little extra challenge, you can remove the top hand and reach it down alongside your body, stretching that left shoulder down the side body as well. And two more like that. Good. And one more. And then lower down, turn right onto your tummy. Have the ring handy because you're going to bring it around to the back side of your body. Place it over the hips. And then send the legs out long. And think about your asses as they find the mat. And then the space just below your asses is where your hip joints are. See if you can send that down into the mat. And then hover the ring off of your hips and roll your shoulders back. Good. Your eyes and nose are hovering off of the mat, but you're keeping your bottom ribs connected. And I want you to think of keeping the ribs and pelvis connected in the front the whole time, and then you're going to press the ring up towards the ceiling. Rolling the shoulders back. Smashing the front of the hips down into the mat. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Set that ring aside. Take your hands to the mat. A little bit further forward than your shoulders. Reach your heart forward. And we're going to come all the way up into our swan. If you want to keep your elbows on the mat, you're welcome to. If you want to stay even lower, you're welcome to. And then lower back down. We're going to roll to our other side. So you're going to take yourself right onto that left side. I'm going to bring myself this way so I can see. So we're going to send the legs out long, both arms, hands to the mat. Squeeze the legs together. Feel the inner thigh on that bottom leg help to lift you up and lower down. And stretch out long and lower and rise up. And then if you'd like to take your top arm alongside you, reaching it towards your toes, to make the balance component a little harder. It's not a bad idea. We'll do 2 more. Good. And 1 more. And then lower down. Turn to your tummy once again. And take your hands under your shoulders this time, under your chest, and push up. And make your way into all fours. Take your hands a little further forward and then tuck your toes under. We're going to send the sit bones up and back and go into that same running in place motion that we did earlier in the class. Soften the shoulder blades down away from the ears, and then let your knee bend be a hip dip as well. So right hip sinks towards the mat as the knee bends, and then vice versa. And so we're letting the hips get a little extra sassy, a little extra mobile here. And then we're going to walk our feet in towards our hands. As you do that, let your knees bend so that you can really kind of come into that position with ease. And then let your knees bend enough that your ribs can rest on your thighs. And take a few big breaths in there. As you find your breath flowing into your ribs, into the back ribs, creating some space, maybe take your elbows in your hands. And then we'll bring our elbows and head and shoulders over to the right side. And then over to the left side. And then back to center. We'll start to roll up, drawing the sit bones down. Release the arms. Take them forward and up. And circle them around and back. Take this circle a few more times. Go forward and up and around and back. Just feeling into the possibilities of your shoulders and the steadiness of your foundation. Feel your feet root into the earth like there's just no separation there, and the energy coming up the legs into your pelvis, kind of almost imperceptible because it's so easeful. There's not effort there, right? And then take your left arm up and side bend right and switch. And again, feeling the sort of ease of the lower body as the upper body explores space around it. And then allow your arms both to rest at your sides and offer your spine that lovely freedom of that spiral, and the arms allowed to just hang heavily off of your frame. And then we'll come back to center and take our big closing arm circle, bringing the palms together at the top and rising upward with the heart as the hands connect inward. And we'll finish there. Great work. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you feel fantastic, and I hope you'll come back for more classes. You can subscribe to my channel to be notified when they are made available. You can also follow me on Instagram at arwenbrooke_Pilates. And finally, find me on my website at arwenbrooke.com, and that's where you'll find everything there is to know about me and what I'm up to, including workshops and retreats and other such fun. So I hope to see you soon, and have a great day.